What is going on, everyone? Hello and welcome back here to another edition of Next Gen Jets, here with you every single Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with you guys to talk all things New York Jets. Back with another episode, and tomorrow the owners' meetings in Palm Beach, Florida officially kick off, but Darren Mougey spoke to reporters down in Palm Beach, Florida today, so that is primarily what we are going to be breaking down today. Chris, I'll throw it to you first. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I'm ready to get into the Mougey press conference, and I'm excited to be here with you boys.
Jack, what's going on?
I'm good, man. Thanks so much for having me on again. Episode 4. Big episode today, guys.
For sure, 1,000%. Appreciate you guys, as always. And we're proud to announce after today's episode, we do all the side shows, obviously, for Next Gen Jets. We're trying to grow our own Next Gen Jets channel, so I'm going to throw the link in the chat. Please, I don't know why that music's playing, but please hop over there. Give us a sub. I just threw that link in the channel. Hop over. Shoot us a quick sub and then come right back over here. If you got any questions for Chris, Jack, and I, feel free to throw them in the chat. If you want to call into the show, you could do so with the pinned comments. Super chats, memberships, also a great way to contribute. We'll answer your questions, take your calls, and much more, all coming up here on Next Gen Jets. The big takeaway, guys, really from today overall, Darren Mougey speaking with reporters in a media scrum down at the owners' meetings today. Clip I really want to start with, probably the most meaningful piece of information we've had from the Jets in quite some time now. This is something a lot of fans were expecting, but now it's official. Darren Mougey announces Justin Fields will be the Jets' starting quarterback for the 2025 season.
You see Justin Fields as, it's only a 2-year contract, obviously, but is kind of the intrigue there, just what maybe there's some untapped ability there that people haven't seen yet?
I do believe that, and we believe Justin is the starter. We believe in Justin. We believe we can win with Justin, so we're excited about Justin's potential.
You heard it there first, ladies and gentlemen. Darren Mougey addressing reporters and introducing Justin Fields as the Jets starting quarterback for the 2025 season. Chris, I'm going to throw it to you first. I know you're a big Fields fan. Are you happy that Darren Mougey's kind of making up his mind here? Or did you want there to be some sort of competition in training camp? Maybe not announce this move so early on. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, the competition is always good, but I feel like, it's good that they're showing confidence in Justin Fields, and it makes me excited as a fan, to watch what he has to the table. This organization obviously has shown that they know he has untapped potential, and they know they have to play to his strengths and utilize him. So I'm excited to see what we're going to be able to do with Justin Fields, a guy who has so much upside and, potentially the potential to be a really good quarterback if used correctly.
Jack?
I like the confidence that Mougey's putting in his take here. Yes, we've seen Justin Fields struggle over the past few years. He's had more losses than wins in his career, but with the announcement today that Mougey says that he is most likely going to be, or he is going to be the week 1 starter, I like the confidence in that, although I would like to see how they can develop him and fix his issues come week 1 time.
This is where I am, guys. I knew Justin Fields. I think a lot of us knew Justin Fields was going to be the starter, whether it was announced today, which ultimately happened, or Darren Mougey waited until training camp to make this decision. Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey made that decision together, obviously. I'm okay with it. The thing I don't like about the fact it's being addressed so early, like, why would you want to announce now that you're just handing a guy a starting job? I feel like you at least got to give, Tyrod Taylor somewhat of a chance during training camp to compete for the job, Chris.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, competition obviously breeds success. And, I'm hoping that, Tyrod is actually able to, help Fields with some of his issues, in terms of processing and maybe some accuracy concerns. So competition would have been nice, but this just shows that they have confidence in him, which I know I'm excited to hear.
1,000%. I mean, you got to just hope that this team is able to fix some of Justin Fields' issues. He's gotten better every single season. I'm just not completely sold from what I've seen throughout the entirety of his career that Justin Fields is going to be the long-term answer for the Jets under center. I mean, the Jets haven't had a long-term answer under center since Joe Namath. I mean, you could throw Chad Pennington, Vinny Testaverde in there, but those guys are solid football players, but they aren't those legit blue-chip franchise guys, and Justin Fields has the skill set to do so. The question is, when is he going to apply the skill set overall? And I think that's something that we're really going to have to look forward to. How does he look first few weeks of the season? Because I think a big thing is this regime getting off to a good start. I don't think this regime can afford to win 3 games one season, and then you're entering next season potentially with a rookie quarterback, and you really got to because if you have 2 losing seasons back to back, 2 poor seasons, rather, not losing. If you go 8-9 this season, that would be viewed as a solid season, pretty much given the overall circumstances. But you win 4 games this year, you win 5 in 2026. this regime is on the hot seat entering year 3, and I don't think this is something they want. I mean, staying with the topic of the quarterback position, Mougey also noted that despite signing Justin Fields' 2-year deal, pretty lucrative deal from what he's shown overall as a product on the field, Mougey emphasizes that the signing does not change the Jets' draft strategy by any means.
How does signing Justin Fields impact your draft strategy for quarterback?
We'll evaluate, just like any position, we're going to evaluate the quarterbacks, the entire class, right? And that's the same for every position. It doesn't change our approach. We'll have those meetings and evaluate every quarterback in the draft.
Take one as high as 7?
I don't know who we're going to take at 7. You know, we're going to have those meetings next month. But Justin's ours. Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as I know.
So Darren Mougey makes it clear that if the Jets fall in love with the quarterback, whether it's with the 7th overall pick, whether it's the 42nd overall pick, 73rd, 4th round or beyond, Justin Fields is not going to deter them, and that signing is not going to hinder them from taking a guy if they fall in love with him. Chris, I know you're not big on any of the quarterbacks in this year's class, but you think if Darren Mougey and Aaron Glenn find their guy who they want to be tied to, would you be okay with them making that move?
Well, first off, ever since Mougey started talking, he said all the right things basically. And so if they fall in love with a guy, I suppose it would, ease the blow to know that they're confident in him. But again, I don't see why they'd be confident in any quarterbacks in this class. They're all shaky. And the main thing I don't want them to do, which by the sounds of it, it sounds like they're actually gonna, make a deep evaluation and not say anything too quick or not jump to any conclusions. But I don't want them to take a quarterback just for the sake of taking one in a weak class when you have a stacked class coming up. So, they have confidence in Justin Fields, and I do too. But say, we go 3-14, which, by the way, if we go 3-14 or 4-13, I'd have concerns with Aaron Glenn as a coach because there's too much talent on this team to be going that low. But say we do, we are in that range and we're picking top 5. Next year's class is stacked. So, you can choose from a great quarterback class next year as opposed to taking someone that you fall in love with, but that's not really that great this year.
Jack?
I don't mind the idea of getting a quarterback in this draft, right? Whether that be a developmental guy in the 3rd, like Kyle McCord or Will Howard, I don't mind it, right? Especially if they're going to become your starter next year. If the Jets go after a quarterback at 7, though, I'm going to be concerned. I don't think the Jets should get Shedeur Sanders at 7. No way, no how. No questions to ask. Again, I can't completely close the door. I can't completely close the door at it because I feel like the Jets have way other needs they need to fill right now, other than a quarterback at pick 7. Right? You have other guys like Armand Membu, who said now I'm leaning more towards the Jets getting Membu at 7 now. Ever since that they just announced that AVT is playing guard this season, I feel like now I'm moving towards the idea of the Jets getting Membu at 7, and I feel like you really need that to protect Justin Fields, especially if they're going to run a run-first offense this year behind Fields. I don't think they need Sanders at 7.
Why don't you like Shedeur Sanders, Jack?
I didn't say I didn't like him. I just said I think we have other needs, right? I don't.
Why don't you want him at 7?
Because I just said we need other needs. I don't want him at 7 because I don't want to waste our pick on a quarterback who's going to be a backup.
It's not wasting a pick if you think he's going to be your franchise guy, though. There's also a chance he's not even the backup if he comes in and impresses during camp. Like, if that's their guy, this quarterback class next year gets so much hype. I think it's one of the most overrated classes we've seen in a really long time. Half these guys haven't even proven that they're developed enough at the collegiate level to put enough on tape to be a draftable grade overall, to earn a draftable grade overall. The only quarterback I really like next year is Garrett Nussmeier, and I think if Carson Beck is able to put together a solid season, he's going to be a top quarterback next year. Other than that, I think next year's quarterbacks are very, very overrated. I don't think they've shown enough development over the course of their college career.
The thing is, I never stated that I never talked anything about next year's quarterback class. I mentioned that the Jets have other needs. I didn't mention once about next year's quarterback class.
Yeah, I know.
Because
they're going to need to draft a quarterback either this year or next year. So I'm saying, Shedeur Sanders, if he's their,
that's why I'm saying draft a quarterback in the 3rd. I'm not saying
one argument I will want to say, one thing I will push back on is, they signed Justin Fields to this deal and they're talking him up and, buttering him up, saying they believe him. They owe it to him to build around him with their 1st round pick this year. Taking a quarterback is, completely saying F you to Justin Fields, whether it be after talking up like this, they can't do that. So Justin Fields deserves a chance. They deserve to have to give him the chance and build around him with the 1st round pick, whether it be, my first choice weapon, or if they want to go O-line. I'd rather have Tyler Warren or Ted at 7, but if they want to take Membo, you're still building around the offense. But you can't take quarterback when you just sign Fields like this. I didn't like this quarterback class, so coming in, I wanted them to treat Fields like a rookie because of all the untapped potential he has and all the upside he's shown. and while this quarterback class is not really that good. So if Fields doesn't work out, yes, you go get your franchise guy next year, but they owe it to Fields to build around him for at least the first year in the first round. And then next year, if he takes you to the playoffs, that'd be great. And then you build around him next year too. So that's my
He doesn't. They don't owe him anything though, because he hasn't shown anything that he's worth building around. Like he hasn't shown that his entire career. So if you think you have your franchise guy this year, you take him. I have full faith in this regime until they give me a reason not to.
I agree.
So I don't like Shedeur Sanders at the 7th overall pick. I don't like Jackson Dart. I hate Jackson Dart with the 7th overall pick. I wouldn't draft Cam Ward. But if this regime really, really views them as that franchise guy, what I'm saying is don't let the Justin Fields signing deter you from if you think your franchise guy is this year.
But if they believe in one of these quarterbacks, then why would they sign Fields?
Because why would they sign Fields first? They barely done any evaluation. They've done evaluation on the quarterback, and if they want to sign Fields, it's a pure gamble. Like you could still sign Fields and draft a quarterback. We've seen teams do that before.
Yeah, but if you gamble and it works, then you're just stuck with Shedeur Sanders on the roster for no reason. If Fields works out.
And then there's the flip side that's most likely you gamble and it does not work, then you have your franchise guy in place. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a move that the Falcons made a few years ago. I know Kirk Cousins is a lot older than Justin Fields, but they signed Kirk Cousins to this nice deal in free agency, and then they used a top 10 pick on their quarterback. Guess what? Kirk didn't work out. Michael Penix is looking like he's going to have a bright future in Atlanta with the Falcons.
Yeah, but I like Penix better than I like these quarterback prospects.
I think also the reason they picked Penix, right, is because they realized, like you said,
I'm just talking about
Kurt's
the overall
age.
picture.
Yeah.
I know, but I think the reason why they also picked Penix was
Kurt's
for longevity. You're not going to have Cousins more than 3 years. That's just what I think.
Justin Fields is on a 2-year contract.
I get it.
Young.
Fields signed
Yeah,
to a
he's
4-year
younger.
contract. He's younger. What has he shown? That's like he's shown the potential.
Elite athleticism.
I get that. I know you say that every time. He's shown potential. When is he going to be able to put it on the field? That is my question.
So I understand the argument that you want to see
Again,
more
I see you
out of
guys
him.
in the chat. Again, my comments getting misconstrued yet again. I never said I want them to. I said if they fall in love with a franchise guy, this is my exact words. If they fall in love with someone they think is a franchise guy, Justin Fields should not deter them from drafting the quarterback. There it is.
So I just wanted to touch on one thing you said. You said that he hasn't shown anything, and I know you like to you see the production. You don't like to think about upside and how that could influence.
I think of
future.
upside all the time. What are you talking about? I've mentioned this.
Yeah, but you don't let that you don't let the potential they have affect you, like your actual prediction of them being good. So I know we all would have liked to see more of Justin Fields beforehand, but things that are important to note that in Chicago, the Chicago Bears basically ignored O-line. Justin Fields was running for his life all 3 seasons, which is why he was able to show and flash that elite athleticism and elite escapability. And also, when he was in Pittsburgh, I feel like, the offensive line was underwhelming and the weapons were underwhelming. But at the same time, the coaching staff needed to do a bit of a better job playing to his ability, and they needed to unleash him. I feel like they watching the film reviews on Fields, it was obvious that he wasn't throwing to open guys deep. And I feel like part of that is them asking him to play conservative and telling him to take the check down more often than not. So I feel like the Jets need to do a better job playing to his skills and unleash him a little bit. Let him go. Let him sling the ball.
And
he
to
doesn't
touch
have
on that,
accuracy
right?
down the field, though. He doesn't have accuracy. You need a safety net for Justin Fields. That's my whole argument why Harold Fannin Jr. is a perfect option for the Jets. You need a safety net, Chris. No wonder they wanted him to check it down. He has such poor accuracy down the field. He's not someone who's just going to be a complete field mover for you and he's going to throw 50-yard, completed passes down the field. He's like Jalen Milroe, Anthony Richardson in the sense he has a strong arm. He's not very accurate. And I think that's another thing this team is going to
100%. And we're hoping his accuracy can continue to develop, even though there's a long time to his career. We've seen all these guys have, late career resurgences. So that's what, we're banking out with Justin Fields and a little bit more. Cause I feel like there's really, really a lot of upside with Fields. And I really love the signing overall. And I think they should definitely do a lot to build around him, including the safety net, with getting a guy like Tyler Warren or one of these. This is a great tight end class, so get one of these good tight ends and make sure you put Fields in the best position to succeed this season.
Again, I hope he does great things for this Jets team. What I'm saying though, they're gonna, no matter how Fields plays, I think unless the highly, highly unlikely, they're going to either draft a quarterback high in this year's draft or next year's draft. So what I'm saying is I just don't think Fields should deter your opinion, the fact that he's on the roster with any other quarterback. But I appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Keep your questions coming in. Pin comment to call into the chat. We appreciate all your support here on the program. Super Chats membership's also a great way to contribute. We're going to answer your questions. Take your calls. We appreciate all your support here on the program. As always, I want to keep it going with some of the presser notes from Darren Mougey's press conference today. We're talking about the tight end position, so I might as well roll a clip from Darren Mougey today talking about the Jets tight end room.
What about your tight end room? Like, how do you feel about that?
Tight end room? Yeah, we feel good. Rucker could take the next step. It's a good tight end class in the draft. There's some depth there, but feel good adding Stone Smart. He's an athletic guy with some upside, so feel good about the tight end room.
All right. I like that he feels confident in Jeremy Ruckert, who might not even be on the roster. I like that he feels confident in someone who signed for nothing more than $2 million. This team has to beef up the tight end room. No ifs, ands, or buts, Jack.
Totally agree, right? Whether that be drafting Tyler Warren or drafting a guy like Elijah Arroyo or a guy you like Harold Fannin in the later rounds of the draft, of course you need to beef up that tight end room. But my question is, right, why get rid of a solid tight end? If you're confident about this tight end room already, why not just re-sign Tyler Conklin?
He didn't want to be here.
I get it, right? But if you pay him the right amount, the Chargers paid him the right amount, $3.5 million. If we worked out something, I don't understand why the Jets wouldn't want to bring him back. Right? Of course, if he's confident about Stone Smart, and Jeremy Ruckert, I don't understand why they couldn't be confident in Tyler Conklin as well, right?
They wanted him back though. He didn't want to come back.
Of course, but you have to pay him if they paid him the right amount. Which I feel like
it's like the DJ Reed situation though. Like DJ
Yeah,
Reed
but like don't overpay for him.
Exactly.
Though. Like,
exactly. I don't think you can overpay for someone. No, I want to get into this, Jack, because I don't think you can overpay for someone who's shown, yes, serviceable production, someone who doesn't want to be here. Like, if he doesn't want to be here, cool, get him out. He's did nothing. He's been, I like Tyler Conklin. He was a good player for this football team. He's not someone I want to overpay and do anything I can to keep him in the building.
In that case, draft Tyler Warren, which I believe is another win-win scenario, right? I like all of his attributes. I think I've said it multiple times on the show. I know you don't like when I say his 4-in-1 package, right? But I just like everything that he can do, right? And I think that's why I was saying don't draft Shador Sanders at 7 because we have more needs right now, like a tight end or a receiver. I'm taking Tyler Warren at 7, right? That's why I was defending.
No, but you said Conklin. Why would you want to overpay for a guy like Conklin?
I didn't say overpay him. I'm just saying
you said
pay him to the point where it satisfies his needs, right? He may not want to be here, right? But I feel like if the Jets pay him to satisfy his needs, right, then he'll be able to come back and still produce good things for us.
So why would you want to overpay for an average tight end who doesn't want to be here?
He's not average. I think he's good. I think he's
okay.
Good.
Average starting tight ends are good. Why would you want to overpay for him? Someone who doesn't want to be here. That's the thing that annoys me most. Like someone who doesn't want to be here. I don't want to pay him a dime. If someone does not want to be in the building, I do not want to pay them to be on my roster.
Okay. All right. I just like the idea though. That's it.
Chris, thoughts on Stone Smart, Jeremy Ruckert? You think Ruckert's going to be on the roster?
Depending on the camp he has and what Glenn sees in him, I don't know how Glenn and Mougey are going to evaluate. I think there's a chance he is, and most likely yes. I don't think they'll give up on a guy, but at the same time, they didn't draft him. So that's a reason to think that they would have no problem moving on from him. But I feel like they have to beef up this tight end room through the draft. A key word, what's his name, Mougey said was depth. So that concerns me that they might not be looking at Warren at 7, but that might just be overthinking. I think up to this point, all signs have aligned to the Jets taking Tyler Warren, whether it be them not beefing up weapon enough in free agency. So I think Warren is the guy at 7. You stick and pick for Warren, and you just address the rest of your needs as the draft progresses.
Look, here's the thing, Chris. I don't think it's giving up on Jeremy Ruckert if you do move on from him. If you do move on from Jeremy Ruckert, it's not giving up on him. He's had 3 seasons to prove who he is in a New York Jet uniform. First 2 seasons did absolutely nothing. Last season had an opportunity to be a tight end 2 with this team. Did absolutely nothing whatsoever. No production, provided he was a liability in the running game. Couldn't hold on to the football. Hey, do you really consider giving up on a guy at this point in his career, Chris, when he's had 3 years to prove himself?
I don't have any emotional attachment to the guy. Excuse me. I would have no problem if they released him. We just need to do a better job in addressing weapon with draft and post draft free agency.
You can only say Long Island kid for so long to the point where it's okay. Now it's time to actually show me something and produce on the field. I mean, this is not talked about enough. The Jets passed on Isaiah Likely to draft Jeremy Ruckert.
Yeah, yeah.
Isaiah Likely on some teams in the NFL level is a tight end one. If he was on the Jets team last year, he would have been pushing Tyler Conklin for targets. So again, another Joe Douglas miss on day 3 of the drafts, but hey, we've seen a lot of those, so I'm not even gonna go too deep into it. Darren Mougey talking about the Jets free agency approach at the owners' meetings. An approach that a lot of fans criticize, but Darren Mougey made it crystal clear why he went out and he targeted certain players.
There was a stereotype the last few years around the NFL regarding non-premium positions, running back, tight end, and where you should select them in the draft, where you should pay them. Has some of the success recently, whether it was Saquon in Philly or Brock in the Raiders, changed maybe the overall outlook where maybe using premium picks on a position like that is a little more
I don't know that it changed. I mean, we're always just looking to add good players, right, regardless of position. If you can add good players that help you win games, premium position or not, we'll be looking to do that.
Adding good football players. That's what Darren Mougey said down at the owners' meetings, and that's interesting. Chris, I know you were a fan of the Jets free agency approach overall. Thoughts on kind of how Mougey summed it up there?
Yeah, I was a huge fan of the way they approach this going in. I think the way they're evaluating players, I'm going to have faith in them until they give me a reason not to have faith, like you said. I think what they're doing is great. They're only getting one guy. They're not like making any long-term investments by any means. They're just, they're seeing what they have in guys. They obviously saw things on tape that they liked with these guys. They saw, since it's Aaron Glenn, I'm assuming they saw grit from these guys. They saw some traits that, you can turn into a great player if you coach them up the right way. So I'm happy about what they did in free agency. And I think that some of these players, can turn into, if coached properly, can turn into starters in this team for a bit to come.
Jack?
I gave this team an overall grade of a C for their free agency, right? I like obviously their signing of the free agency so far is Justin Fields, getting their quarterback, getting that out of the way, first free agent signing for them. You got a guy like Andre Sisco who fills in the free agency room, right? For me, although they signed guys like with the names of Tyler Johnson and Josh Reynolds, they didn't really fill the real void of wide receiver 2. And I really my hope is that they're saving that for the draft, whether that be for McMillan, Warren, Egbuka, Golden, either one of them. I just hope that's just my hope that they're saving it for the draft at least. So that's why I gave them an overall grade of a C. And I just think it's pretty mediocre right now.
Well, guys, Chef Kevin wants in on our membership raffle. He comes in with a $5 super chat. Chef Kev, appreciate you checking in with us as always, guys. Super chats, memberships, great way to contribute if you can. Chef, we appreciate it. As always, says tons of JD misses, but you never miss. Keep up the great content. Chef, appreciate your support as always, and I appreciate you tuning in here on the program. A ton of JD misses, Chris, and most overrated. It's crazy to think I could say most overrated GM when someone who is 30 and 60 something.
Yeah, the main concern with Douglas is how he just refused to make any moves midseason, and he didn't even talk to the media either. So he was just like, half the time you didn't even know if he was alive or not. But his highs were obviously the first round of the drafts, but then he had crazy misses like Mekhi Becton, who's my least favorite Jet of all time. Mekhi Becton, absolutely awful, but he did have one of the best draft classes in franchise history. So I'll always thank him for that. Always have a special place in my heart the way he built this. And unfortunately, the Rodgers injury ruined what could have been something special. Because if Rodgers never got hurt, we would have knew Saleh was an incompetent coach. We would have fired him. Then we would have had Mike Vrabel, and we would have won the Super Bowl this year. So ultimately, sometimes just luck, it doesn't work out. But Joe Douglas had his fair share of horrible mistakes. That's for sure.
1,000%. I couldn't agree more with you there. But I mean, even you look at the 2022 class, he hit on those guys, but after that, the draft was incompetent. Michael Clemens, Jeremy Rucker, like after those big big four guys, Jermaine, Sauce, Garrett, Brees, which again, some of them might be overrated a little. I'm not saying they're good players. They might just be slightly overrated at their position groups. He's had a lot of misses, and ultimately the losses outweighed the great moments during Joe Douglas's tenure. Staying with Darren, 1,000%. Staying with the topic of Darren Mougey, one of the most polarizing free agent signings for Jet fans this offseason. Brandon Stevens, who the Jets signed to a 3-year, $36 million contract. A lot of fans had a lot of questions regarding Stevens, and Mougey's here to answer all your questions.
With Stevens, I think he's a unique player because I don't think he had a great year last year. So what do you guys see that maybe speaks differently from what some of those struggles may be?
I can't speak to the situation, what happened in Baltimore, but we do know his physical traits fit what we're looking for in a corner. He's big, he's got size, he's got length, he can play press man coverage, he can run and cover with speed. So we thought he was a good fit for us, and we're excited. And with Coach AG and our coaching staff, we feel like they can really get the most out of him and help improve his play.
I'm all for gambling on traits, but when you put $36 million into someone on a multi-year deal purely for traits, that's a little concerning for me, Chris.
Well, watching that clip, I was sitting behind my screen grinning ear to ear, honestly. That the way they're evaluating players, it just makes me so refreshed to see the way they're doing this and how we're doing this the right way. But, I think Mougey highlighted in that quote was the scenario. So they obviously saw something wasn't matching up. They probably feel like he was misused and has a chance to, come in here and make a big impact when used properly. Mougey mentioned the faith he has in this coaching staff. Obviously, a guy with experience in Wilkes, and Aaron Glenn, a former corner himself. So, I'm excited as to what we're going to see on defense this year, especially with guys like Sauce, who I think are going to have insane years.
Jack?
I mean, I have mixed feelings about this, right? Because I feel like you have to put vice versa, facts over faith, right? Stevens didn't have a bad season in 2023. Arguably, he had pretty solid season in 2023. However, last season he struggled quite a bit. He had a lot of passes thrown his way that he did not, he was not even, he gave a lot of them up. And I feel like, he got beat a lot of times during his coverage. And I feel like my biggest hope is that hopefully the Jets can help that with him. I was eyeing a guy, and I've said this a few times. I was eyeing guys like Carlton Davis, who unfortunately went to the Patriots. I was eyeing Charvarius Ward, right? And I feel like, paying a guy $36 million, especially with the things he had last season, I feel like I'm just a little skeptical on, though. I hope it'll work, though.
This isn't a signing I absolutely hate. I just think they overpaid a little bit. He's coming off a down season overall, started his career as a safety, so he has somewhat of that versatility there. He played all 17 games, though. That's something to keep in mind in 2024. He did struggle, though, in coverage, allowing, I think, second most yards, and I think he allowed 4 or 5 touchdowns, something crazy like that. I'm just not a fan. I'm okay with gambling on traits, like I said, Chris, and I'm hoping Brandon Stevens works out, and I'm hoping we get what we saw out of Stevens in 2023. I just think $36 million, 3 years is a little much.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm an expert in contract talk. That does sound like a lot of money, but if they paid him that way, they must have paid him that for a reason. They give him this deal, and they see that it's not gonna be just 1 year. It's gonna take a little bit of time to develop into the player that they know he can be. But they come in and they do that, and then you have a solid QB CB 2 or 3. So I'm excited to see how they're gonna go about this and how they're gonna go about into making Stevens the player they want him to be.
Appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Next Gen Jets here on the show. Jack, Chris, and I, we appreciate all your support as always here on the program. Like, share, and subscribe. Completely free, and it helps us grow significantly. Keep your questions coming. Pinned comment if you want to call into the show at the top of the chat. Let's get into some draft talk, guys. Top 5 prospects. That's what we're going to roll with today. Top 5 prospects you'd be open to the Jets selecting with the 7th overall pick. Chris, who's number 5 on your list?
Number 5 on my list. So let me go through. So can I go from 1 to 5?
Yeah, sure.
So 1 obviously is Tyler Warren. I think he is the ultimate safety net, the ultimate blanket for Justin Fields. He can be anywhere on the field. He can be open, and when he's covered, he's a guy who can go up and make contested catches. And you play in the wildcat formation. He on 4th and 1. You run up the middle, it's automatic. He dives over, 4th and goal. So this is a guy who's going to, significantly impact your team, going to be a high-end starter. And this is a guy who can really come in and be a top 5 tight end in the league in a couple of years. It maybe even higher than that. So I'm really excited to see what Warren does. That's why he's my number 1 guy. Number 2 for me is Tet. I think, Tet, you can come in and be a solid wide receiver too, take a lot of attention away from Garrett Wilson. And that gives him maybe one-on-one looks. And we know how Tet can be contested catch guy. I think his ability to, speed up and slow down, like accelerate and decelerate, that makes him a good route runner. And we see that when you watch him, you can see that he can make plays happen after the catch. So I like him with that pick. And then 3, 3 starts against the trade back range. So Jack, what are you thinking? Like past there and your 1 and 2.
For my 1 and 2, I think I have the exact same thing. Warren, number 1. I love his route tree. Great. He's great at selling blocks and tricking defenders that, he's able to block, then goes right down there, zips down the field, like you said, contested catches. He's awesome in that range. I just love how he has so much dynamics within himself, right? Like I always say, 4-in-1 package. I know Connor doesn't like me saying that. I love saying that, though. I think he can do a lot of things. I like he can do a lot of things, right? Whether that be passing. I know a lot of people say that anybody can. I just like the way I've seen his passing throw.
He's
I
a
think
converted quarterback,
strong
yeah.
arm. Yeah, I just think he can pass, he can run, he can block, he can catch. I think all of that is very. I think he's very consistent at that. I know people are saying he's only started being consistent last season, but we've seen it. We've seen him develop into a great tight end that he is today, and I'm glad to see if the Jets are able to pick him up at 1, 2. Same thing, Tet, right? Great hands, great awareness, has the size. That's really all of my 3 traits I have on him, though.
What about 3, 4, 5?
3, 4, 5. I Membu at 3 because I feel like I said, ever since they moved AVT to guard, I feel like the Jets are going to focus a lot more on getting that right tackle position filled. And now although I want Warren at 7, I'm switching my focus more that the Jets, I feel like, are going to have a higher chance of getting a tackle at 3. Speaking of tackle, 5 for me is Will Campbell. Again, I like him a lot from LSU. And then 4 is the trade down option, whether that be getting Golden or Guga later in the first.
I'll go from 5 to 1 here for me. Coming in at number 5 is Jalen Walker from Georgia. This is someone who could play on the outside as an outside linebacker, someone who could come off the edge. I think this team needs a versatile defensive piece, especially with Quincy Williams entering a contract year. I think Jalen Walker is someone who could play off the edge and someone who can be a linebacker for you too. So I like the versatility that he brings to the table overall. And number 4, for me, it's Mason Graham. Look, I know a lot of people are going to think, wow, that's super low for a guy like Mason Graham. This is someone who's under 300 pounds. I like his versatility overall. I don't think he's that big run stuffing presence next to Quinton Williams. However, I'm not going to go crazy on draft night if the Jets do ultimately draft Mason Graham. So he's at 4 for me. And number 3. 3 is interesting because this is where it starts to get dicey. You want to trade down. I'm not going to put trade down in here. Trade down right now is probably my number 1 option, but I'm just going to give pure prospects here. Coming in at number 3 for me, I'm going to go with Kenneth Grant. I think Kenneth Grant, if you want to address that run stuffing need, he's that true big body, over 300 pounds. You could plug in the middle right next to Quinton Williams. That's number 3 for me. Number 2, I did have to adjust this a little bit after I saw a clip. Ted McMillan drops the number 2 on my list after I saw an interview with him admitting he doesn't want to watch tape, blah, 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 blah. He doesn't do that in his free time. We were all on call when I saw that, to my understanding, and we played it live. We played it live on the call, and I was like, wow, it's a little concerning for me. Tet for me is my number 1 pure prospect, but the off-field mentality, like you said, not like I just mentioned, not watching film does scare me a little bit. Getting a wide receiver 2 in the building is super important, but he drops to number 2 for me. Number 1 is Tyler Warren. I like Warren overall as a player. I just think he's not a 4-1, a 5-1. He's a 2-1. He could block, he can catch. I do think his blocking is a little bit overrated. For those who want to get more educated about Warren, or for those who just want to see Warren, highly recommend checking out Jets X Factor's Joe Blewett's film review on Warren. He pointed out a ton of times that his blocking technique does need some help, so that's something I want to see develop. But tight end right now, a big position of need. Warren's someone who could come in for you. He can be a reliable pass catcher as you kind of try to develop him into a more productive blocker. So that's my top 5 prospects, and then trade down comes in at number 1. Keep the questions coming. We appreciate all your support as always. Appreciate it on the show. Keep the questions coming. Pin comment, call in. A few more topics to get into before we go over to your questions in the chat. Alan Lazard, another one, polarizing. Some people might want to keep him for depth. Some want to get rid of him. According to Darren Mougey, the Jets are trying to keep him on the roster for the 2025 season.
Your receiver room right now, and where's Alan Lazard fit in that?
Yeah, the receiver room we feel good about. Obviously, it starts with G-Dub, Garrett Wilson, one of the top receivers. And in regards to Alan Lazard, we're working through that right now, but feel good about where that's going.
Lazard, what do you mean working through that?
Yeah, in regards to potential restructuring of the contract, but hope to have Alan on the team.
So restructure, though, means, you're operating, he's going to be on the team next year, whether it's a restructured contract
That's
or...
the hope, but we'll work through that. That's fluid.
It's fluid. That's what Darren Mougey had to say regarding the contractual process with Alan Lazard. I don't care if you restructure him. I just want to go out with the old, in with the new, Jack.
I agree. I think really the main reason why they want to keep him is probably depth, right? I don't think Mougey really sees him as a true wide receiver too. If he's seen what he did last season and the year before that, I really think if we had our true wide receiver too, I don't think this would be a conversation right now with Mougey saying that he wants to keep him. Like I said, my opinion, I believe Mougey really wants to only keep him because of depth.
I think the comments with Tet are concerning. About him not wanting to watch film. That's a mentality that you can't teach, and I think that's the exact thing Aaron Glenn as a coach would avoid. And so I don't think McMillan is really going to be the pick anymore. I don't think they're going to do that. In regards to Alan Lazard, I think if they get him, if they can like restructure his deal by a lot, I think he's a depth piece. I don't think he's going to come in and do great things by any means, but I think if you need him to go in if someone gets hurt, he's a guy you can plug in and be somewhat reliable. So I don't know, whatever they want to do. Obviously, this receiver room is barren, so you can't just say goodbye to people you have, even if they're not your ideal receiver. But you have to make sure that you have people who are going to be able to go out there and play receiver for you. So if they want to keep him, it's mainly depth. Connor, you're muted.
My bad. Sorry there, guys, for a second.
You're good.
This is what I have to say. I don't care if he restructures his deal. I do not want him back with this team at all. First, you look at he's been kind of injury prone over the past 2 years. This is someone who's not young. He's 29 years old, led the league in drop rates the past 2 seasons. And most importantly for me, you look at his production without Aaron Rodgers. It's awful. It's not rosterable in the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers is no longer with this team. So Aaron Rodgers not here. The drops, the injury prone, the fact that he's getting older year after year. That's where I am right now. So I'm going to cut Alan Lazard post June 1 and save you some money. That's where I am on Lazard. One more clip here before we get into your comments. Mougey spoke about Wilson there. Here's Mougey on the potential Garrett Wilson contract extension.
Garrett Wilson in terms of an extension.
In regards to extensions in general, look, there's been a lot of talk about that. We have several players, whether it's early extensions or just players we can extend in the last year, and those are good call it problems to have, but when we're having those discussions, those are good discussions to have. But right now my focus is on the draft. Once we get through the draft, we'll talk about potential extensions for whoever that might be.
All right, so he's going to wait after the draft to extend Garrett Wilson. Chris, do you want to get this deal banged out as quick as possible, or are you okay waiting a little bit?
There's one side of me that's like, yeah, you want to get this done as soon as possible. You don't want any rumors to start coming out because you know how awful the media can be at starting problems when there is no problems. But we also want to get a player like Garrett Wilson extended immediately. Elite route running, elite shiftiness. He is the clear-cut wide receiver one. He's broken so many Jet records. Obviously, his production has been really good, and he hasn't even had the best circumstances. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do this year with Justin Fields, his college quarterback. And, I'm interested to see when they extend him. I want to get him extended as soon as possible, but, it's not the end of the world that they're waiting until after the draft to do so.
Jack?
I agree with Chris, right? For me, you can't go a day. You can't go another day without extending him. The receiver market's going up by the day. I can see where Mougey's coming from, right? He has other needs he needs to fill, but this guy is literally your best piece on offense right now. If I were a GM, he'd be my first priority no matter what right now. Him and Sauce, my first priorities right now. I know a lot of people are saying, I think Connor, you said this too. You want to wait till next season for the Jets to extend Garrett Wilson. If I'm right about that, I'm not sure if you, and for just in my opinion though, he needs to get re-signed as soon as possible. Like I said, the market's going up by the day. That's just my opinion though.
If you think about it, I know the Tet McMillan signing, not the Tet McMillan signing, excuse me, T. Higgins signing. Tet's on my mind right now. The T. Higgins signing, people view that. If you think about it, the market really hasn't been reset because that was the bar after what Amon-Ra St. Brown got, Jack. So I will say, I don't think the market's really getting increased day by day if you think about it.
All right. I mean, I still think the Jets should still sign him as soon as possible. Like I said, it's still going to go up no matter what. Maybe not day by day, but I still think it's going to go up, quickly. That's why I think the Jets should re-sign him as soon as possible.
Smash the like, hit subscribe. We appreciate you all tuning in. Next Gen Jets, Jack, Connor, and Chris with you guys here. Any questions from in the chat? Pin comment to call into the show. A ton of your questions, so we're going to start getting over to those. Havmo63 says Fields needs the space to get where he's going, not someone breathing down his neck. I'm assuming this is inferring to potentially trying to draft a tackle with the 7th overall pick. Chris, I just don't see the overall value there when you can get someone who's going to come in and be a legit playmaker for you right away.
I agree. I think tackling you need to wait on tackle till later rounds. And if you're going to take Warren at 7, which I've said it a million times, is probably the likely pick. If I gun to my head, I think they're going to pick Warren. But Warren is a guy who can help the right tackle out in many ways. So the end that's lined up on the right tackle, Warren can help chip and make sure that he chips that and he gets open quickly. So that's a great safety net if so to say, for Justin Fields. And I think, yeah, this guy is 100% right. A key for Jets is going to be making sure that Fields isn't in distress. He's not a great processor as it is. That's so much harder to do when there's when the offensive line is just letting up pressures left and right. So we know he has escapability. One thing I want to see.
Sorry, Chris, don't mean to cut you off. He said he didn't want a quarterback breathing down his neck, and he wants to give Fields a fair chance. So sorry, just your thoughts there.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree with both those two options. I don't want them. I want them taking Justin Fields to deter them from taking a quarterback. I don't think falling in love with any of these guys is worth it. I think that if they're doing this, they why would they be falling in love with Shedeur or Jackson Dart? I mean, we wouldn't be able to answer that question, but it would be extremely concerning if they're willing to spend the 7th overall pick on a quarterback when they just signed Fields. And they're not going to build around him and give him a fair chance to come in here and use his upside to become a high-end starter in this league. So I think they must pick weapon at 7.
Chris, I want to touch on that for a second, right? I can see where you're coming from, right? You want to give Justin some room, right? But for me, I'm not counting out getting a quarterback in this draft, and I think it could be a smart move as well. Like Connor said, what if Justin doesn't work out? This guy could be your long-term answer. And even moving away from that, if you give Fields some competition in the locker room, that gives him a reason to work extra hard in the offseason to solidify that he's earned this starting job, right?
They already eliminated the competition. They already said that. And if Fields doesn't work out, you get your quarterback in a much better class next year. I know, Connor, you think it's overrated, but I think there's so many guys that when this college season is all said and done, they're going to be a bunch of top 5 quarterbacks that are on the board for you available if the Jets want to trade up or they God forbid finish with a top 5 pick anyway. So Jack, I will disagree with that. I think that they should give Fields a fair chance. Build around him in year 1. See what he has with good coaching with some weapons. Hopefully that we can put around him in this draft, and then we evaluate from there.
Chris, I think what I'll say is I think there's a difference between what you're saying of building an organization around someone compared to giving them weapons. I want to give Justin Fields weapons. I don't want to build my entire organization around him. Does that make sense? You got me there?
I 100% got you. I know that with this Fields signing, they have him for 2 years and they can opt out of it after 1 year if it's a disaster. So with the 2-year contract, you say he's competent this year and say he's good enough where they see enough out of him where they're willing to keep him for another year and they're willing to see. So if he has an average performance and they want to keep him, I could see them drafting a quarterback next year. But if they make the playoffs and he throws over 20 touchdowns and less than 10 picks, I think that's where you invest in him and you start that's where you start quote unquote fully building around him. But for this year, I think I would agree with you. I don't think it's you give this guy the keys to your franchise just yet, but you really need to get weapons, and the best place to do that is at 7.
Smash the like, hit subscribe. Connor, Chris, and Jack here with you all on Next Gen Jets. Keep the questions coming. Pin comment at the top of the chat if you want to call into the show. We'll keep answering your questions, but let's go over to the phone lines. Okay, Indy Jets is first up here on the show. Indy, how you doing? You're on Next Gen Jets.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Great show as always.
How you doing, Indy?
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Indy. How's it going?
Hey, good. Hey, I know you. I heard all your guys' top 5. Well, you only had 2, but what do you think about Sanders is there at 7? I think somebody like Pittsburgh is going to want to come up and come after him, right? Do you think so?
100%.
Sanders I could see going to Pittsburgh. A sneaky player, though, Indy, for Pittsburgh, Jalen Milroe. Look out for Jalen Milroe. He had a great combine. His pro day is going to be interesting. I've been hearing and I've been reading a lot of Jalen Milroe potentially.
Well, and so what I was going with that is if Pittsburgh were willing to make us a deal for 7 and we go all the way down to, was it 21? I think it is.
Yeah, 21.
What about Loveland out of Michigan and as a tight end? And then you take, what Pittsburgh's going to have to give up, obviously, probably a third this year or, and a first, at least a first next year. And by doing that, you get because they don't have a second round pick this year. And you take both of our third round picks and maybe even a second round pick next year and trade back into the late first round and go after Josh Simmons. So you end up with 2 guys in the first round that we can turn around and have a 5th-year option on. You got your right tackle with a 5th-year option. but you didn't have to draft him real high, and you've got your tight end.
This is what I'll say, Indy. I like that plan, but when it comes to trading back into the first round, and if you want to take a tackle, the tackle personally I'm taking instead of Josh Simmons is Josh Connerly from Oregon, 6'4", 315 pounds, very, very explosive. I like Simmons. The problem is Simmons is coming off a season where he dealt with a really, really gruesome injury. He didn't have that injury. He would be the Will Campbell of this year's draft. He'd be the Will Campbell. He'd be the Armand Membu. I like that plan, going with Loveland and then trading back in to get your tackle, but I would want the tackle to be Connerly.
Yeah, I was throwing Simmons out there just because he was. I was thinking tackle, but I just used Simmons just because he was on my. I like the other guy also, but it was just a thought of if Pittsburgh is willing to trade up, we can use that to go back into the first. I'm sure somebody one of the the bottom 4, bottom 5 teams would be willing to take some of those picks, get us back into the first round and get that tackle just for that 5th year option. For our, if he turns out to be the right tackle that we need, we want that 5th year option also.
So Indy, I like that plan. One thing I will say is I would be concerned passing on Warren at 7 because feel like he has the potential to develop into a top 5 tight end in this league with all the tools he has, and he can come in and make an immediate impact on our team and be like one of the key pieces on offense and a key playmaker.
Yeah, well, and the other thought to that is, what's that other tight end that's probably the best blocking tight end in the draft?
Jackson Hawes.
Yes, and where's he going? Yes, where's he going to go? What? Sixth round. So if you were to double dip, you take Loveland in the first. You take if you could trade back up into the first, you get your tackle. Now then you double dip in the tight end, get the blocking tight end, you get the wide receiver tight end, and your right tackle, basically all with one pick, with the 7th pick.
I would love that, and arguably Colston Loveland. I know he's Matt Miller's tight end 1, but I know a lot of people would be super, super high on So even higher on Colston Loveland. He would potentially be their number 1 tight end if he didn't suffer that gruesome shoulder injury. This is Colston Loveland, who's 6'5", 240, 245 pounds. His separation, his ability to create separation for someone his size is absolutely unheard of. Indy, we appreciate the call. We appreciate all your support here on the show. As always, I'm a huge fan of that plan, 1,000%. And I would be open to that. I did release a trade down column, Indy, for Jets X Factor, and the 3 teams I had potentially being interested in coming up were the 49ers, who pick at 11. They would be interested. They have 11 draft picks if Mason Graham falls. Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator there, obviously us Jet fans know him and how much he loved to use Quinnen Williams during his time with the Jets. That could be a name to look out for. The Buccaneers, I think they have the 19th overall pick. They want to come up for a cornerback. They need a cornerback. And then the last team on that list I had was the Bears. I can see them. Genty slips past the Raiders at 6. Maybe that's an option. But Jack, thoughts on Indy's plan there?
I don't mind it, right? Especially if the Jets are going to run a run-first offense next year. If they go that route, especially with Justin Fields and a mobile quarterback like him, I think getting a good blocking tight end like Jackson Hawes wouldn't be a bad choice at all. So I really like that plan, actually.
Chris?
I do like that plan. I do like the idea of, getting into, trading down and getting a chance to hit on more quality starters. But at the same time, I feel like, you want to get the best possible players. And I feel like, picking Warren at 7 is, exercising, taking the best possible, player there and taking a guy with, a guy who can come in and be a top 5 player in his position. I said, I like a broken record over here, but I would really love the Warren pick. And if they still want to trade back into the first round and get a wide receiver or maybe even tackle, I would still love to do that. My dream scenario is you take Warren at 7 and then you trade back and you get the Egbuka, the receiver from Ohio State, and you address tackle and offensive tackle and defensive tackle later in the draft. And I think that's a really solid draft.
Yeah, 1,000%. Here's what I'll say. I think Warren's solid, but I think if you could trade down, recoup all of those assets and get a guy like Colston Loveland, I think that would be a really solid deal. You guys see that Darren Mougey said that, well, obviously AVT is going to be a guard. The other offensive line tidbit, though, Josh Myers and Joe Tippmann battling it out, Chris, for a starting job, I think is a little much after what Tip has shown his first 2 years in a Jet uniform. Like, I love competition, but come on, I think Tippmann has shown he's a pretty solid center in this league.
Yes. Did he specifically say competition, or didn't he
He
just
said they
say
will
like
quote battle it out. They will battle it out.
battle it out? Oh, that was more than what I understood. I thought we just said what's his name, Myers was gonna push Tippmann, but battling it out, that's concerning to me. I wouldn't want Myers starting over AVT, especially with the time the offensive line has had to gel, all the chemistry they have already built. So I mean, I think Tippmann should earn the starting job. I mean that's actually a positive look at that. You make Tippmann earn it, prove the player he actually is. So I think he will be able to prove that, and Myers will be a good depth piece on this team, and be a good locker room guy as well.
Jack?
I mean, I like the idea of competition, but I think that Tippmann's already solidifies himself as a starting center in this league. Josh Myers has struggled over the past couple seasons with Green Bay, and I trust Tippmann more to lead this offensive line, and especially because if you already have two solid interior O-linemen such as AVT and John Simpson, I think that they've done a pretty solid job for the Jets, and I wouldn't mind maybe just having Josh Myers as a depth piece for the Jets center room, right? And especially because offensive linemen get hurt all the time in this league. Josh Myers, I feel like, is a pretty trustable backup center. I wouldn't trust him to start all 17 games though, because I feel like Tippmann has proved more for the Jets to be the starting center.
Billy says, "Why would we waste a good mid-round pick on a useless quarterback?
That's
If
my
you think
guy.
you could develop into something, I mean, the Jets clearly don't have the quarterback situation figured out yet. I think there's something to be said, a day 3 flyer. Keep throwing darts at the board until you get the position figured out."
Yeah, I think that I'm content with our quarterback room now with Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields. Maybe if you want to take a late round guy, if you must take Justin Fields, but I'm in the same realm as Billy here. I think we have a lot of needs even in the later rounds. There's positions that you could be addressing, and why take a quarterback just to take one? I think if you want to take a quarterback, I don't think there's any reason to, so to speak, because if you are bad this year, you're going to take a quarterback next year anyway. So there's no need to waste a pick on one this year, as what Billy is saying.
He comes in, he adds, "At least we should take a look at Travis before we decide to just toss him."
I
strongly disagree. I disagree. Yeah, I mean, this is. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. No, you go.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is this is someone who's not participated in a practice for the Jets. We don't know if he's going to be healthy. A former 5th-round pick who him and his agent now have this whole grudge against the Jets after he was just disgruntled that his rehab didn't progress correctly. So he thinks it's a smart move to go out and blame the Jets when they had 2, arguably even 3 more than serviceable quarterbacks ahead of them on the depth chart. I just think that's nonsense, Jack. And I think it's with going into the season with Travis, you got to expect nothing, and anything you get from him is a bonus. Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Not sure. It's going on mute again. I'm not sure.
Try backing out and rejoining.
All right. Oh, it's working now, I think. Can you hear me now?
Try talking again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It keeps coming in and out.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
I know. Yeah, it's good now. It should be good
all right.
now.
So I think I agree, right? We probably have to treat him as a rookie at this point because he hasn't even stepped a foot on an NFL practice field yet. And if he does, when he's ready for September, I believe he's going to be ready for September, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if he's ready for September, the Jets have to be very careful with him, right? Whether that be in practice, in game. If he's come ready for game time, he better be in shape. He better be, practicing daily on the field. If you're gonna step on an NFL field, especially if you haven't even stepped on an NFL practice yet, I don't trust it one bit, right? No shot, no way. I don't trust it one bit. You have to at least have to practice before you get on an NFL field. I don't want him on this roster next year if he can't prove that he can be a solid backup next season. And we haven't even seen anything out of him yet. But if he can prove that he's a solid backup and get over his injury, then possibly maybe I'll give him another chance.
I'm taking Justin Fields with a grain of salt, honestly. I don't feel comfortable having him anywhere near, starting quarterback because one injury leads to another. Then Jordan Travis is your starter, and I'm not confident in that at all. I don't like Jordan Travis as a player, and this whole thing with the agent. Why would I want a guy like that? Even in there, who does this guy think he is really blaming us? He's shown nothing. He's a late round pick. I don't like Jordan Travis. I don't think take a good look at him, to see if you have anything, but I don't think there is anything there.
I would rather draft a quarterback and have the rookie quarterback, Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields be my quarterback than Tyrod, Fields and Travis. That's me. I'm
What are
all
you guys'
for
opinion on
Mougey.
Martinez, though? You think Martinez can be the 53-man or no?
He's a UFL player. He's not an NFL player. Jet Jaro says, I truly believe Mougey is just smoke screening for whatever more they're going to do, which is smart. Never let the enemy know what they're doing or thinking. I like that Mougey isn't tipping secrets. This is someone that not a lot of people picked up on, but Jets were one of very few teams who didn't do a press conference for all their free agents, Jack.
I like that. I like that. Right. I like how they're not going over to spoil their plans for free agency or spoil their plans for the season. I like giving our opponents some surprise. Right. You give them the element of surprise heading into this season. I feel like that could benefit us a lot. Although I feel like that they kind of underwhelmed for me a little bit in free agency, I still feel like they can make it work, and I trust them as a friend. Like you said, trust them till they prove me not to.
Chris?
I feel like Mougey has done an extremely good job, like, keeping his answers so neutral to the point where you're not giving anyone any insight on as to what you're gonna do. And I think he said all the right things as to, like, not giving away his plan. So the way that Mougey has gone about everything so far just fills me up with faith, baby.
Do you think they should build an outhouse for the beat reporters, Chris?
Oh, 100%. Well, there's no need for them to be with the football operations.
He says, "Yeah, fill the holes on this team with every pick. I'd even pick the best kicker with our last pick."
I agree.
Honestly, like, you get 90 players in
Yeah.
the summer. They worked out Michael Bagely the other day. You have Anders Carlson under contract. Move on from Zerline. Bring in 3 or 4 guys during the summer to work out and compete for that job, Jack.
Agree, right? You lost your franchise kicker in Greg Zerline. Absolutely lost him this season. I don't even want to see him on the roster come training camp time. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. I don't want to see his face again in a Jets jersey. Like Beastbreaker always says, our guy Beast. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. I would rather draft a rookie kicker and have him compete with Anders Carlson. Like you said, have 4 kickers come minicamp time on the 90-man roster. See who comes out the best. I'm disgusted. Absolutely disgusted by what Greg Zerline has done to our franchise. Maybe that'd be a different story if it was 2018 Greg Zerline, right? Maybe that'd be a different story. Sending the Rams to the NFC Championship game, chef's kiss. I would love to bring him back. But no, what we've seen about him last year, missed what? I think he missed a 33-yarder last year against the Bills, or something around that range. I don't want to see him anymore, right? Get new kickers, whether that be through the draft, free agency, or even Andres Carlson.
I agree. I agree with Jack. There's no reason keeping Zerline here. He's a bum. Just get him out. Goodbye.
1,000%. Jet Jaro comes back in and says, good riddance to Conklin. This regime will pick 2 tight ends. They use a tight end a lot. They will get their tight end in this draft for sure. I want 2 tight ends. I think you need a blocker and you need a receiver. I think you really, really need to beef up this tight end room.
I mean, that's a tricky one. You said that your guy, I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who's a pure blocker is a 6th-round pick.
Jackson Hawes.
Jackson Hawes. So if he's there in the 6th, I mean, you already have all your like top position to be filled up. Yeah, you go out and get him. So that's not a bad plan at all. But he's a 6th-round pick exclusively because he's only a blocker, I assume, right?
Yeah. Pretty much. He gives you no receiving
value.
Yeah,
so I'd feel comfortable going in there and taking him. They use him in run packages. Even if you want to use 2 tight ends, Warren can still block and then go up a seam, and Justin Fields delivers a wide open ball for him and he takes it to the house. That sounds like a dream come true. So I'm excited to see what we do in the draft, and I think ultimately we will come away with the draft feeling more confident with this team.
Literally, there's not one player on this Jets roster in the tight end room who's proven they are rosterable at the NFL level. Neil Johnson, if you told me that was a fake player, I might actually believe you. Zach Kuntz has never recorded an NFL reception. Jeremy Ruckert and Stone Smart haven't combined for 650 receiving yards across the past 3 seasons. Who's rosterable?
It's a priority to get 2 guys in this draft, right? We already signed, like you said, we already signed Stone Smart. Haven't really proved much here. Warren, for me, ideal pick at 7. I think that's most Jets fans. Ideal pick at number 7, and then maybe get a guy like Arroyo in the 3rd, possibly a guy like, I know Connor really like this guy, Harold Fannin Jr. Love his route running, love his catching abilities. I'm open for that. Actually, I'm 100% open for that.
Dino, we should definitely take D-line or O-line. Thoughts on Tyleik Williams in the 2nd round, guys? This is a name we've seen mocked to the Jets quite often, Chris.
Sounds great. We need a guy next to Quinnen. Tyleik Williams can come in there, be that guy next to Quinnen. And yeah, you get Warren and with oh my god, I can't speak. Excuse me. You get Warren in the 1st round, Tyleik in the 2nd. You take up a receiver or a shot receiver in the 3rd, and then you get right tackle. With your next pick. I think that's a really solid draft. You come in, the one thing I will say though is there's a lot of D linemen. Maybe if you want to take, depending on where the tackle from Boston College is going to go. Connor, I know you're very high on it.
Trapillo. He might not even be there at 73. So if he's there, it's pretty much a gift.
Yeah, so if he's there, you take him I think instead of Tyleek, because then you have a guy at right tackle. But
Tyleek would be second rounder though.
Yeah, Tyleek would be so the D tackle is second rounder and the right tackle, the Boston College right tackle.
No,
is second rounder.
Trapillo's going to be a third rounder, like early third.
Early third. So a dream draft then would be Warren at 7. You take Tyleek in the second round, and then the Trapillo, the Boston College right tackle in the third. That's a great draft. Then you got to get receiver in the fourth or sign a guy in post draft free agency. But that's really good. I'd feel extremely confident with that scenario.
1,000%. Billy says maybe this regime could do something with Corley too. Jack, I think you just gotta hope. I've made this comp 1,000 times. Gotta hope what the Tanner Engstrand could take what the Lions did with Jamison Williams and implement that with Malachi Corley.
100%, right? We've seen the athleticism that Corley has. However, we've also seen a lot of his downside with his undiscipline as dropping the ball in the end zone against the Texans. Totally undisciplined for an NFL player. Hopefully, Engstrand and Glenn can fix that within him. I've seen the talent he has in college. I've seen the talent he has with his Jets team when he has done something. I'd like to see where they fit him in, and I'm really, really hoping he can compete with this team.
Jaro comes up with a hot take, so I wouldn't be surprised if Golden is first wide receiver off the board. Chris, I know this team's gonna like speed, but I think Matthew Golden might be a little bit of a reach for the Jets.
I agree. I think you see all the stuff you have in Ted. I think Golden is obviously I meant to say honestly. Golden is honestly going up in my mind at the receiver position now that Ted is saying he never watches film on his own. That's way more concerning than that meets the eye, if so to speak, because if players don't have that mentality, they just don't have it, and you can't really coach that. You see it with guys like you see the impact of watching film with Tom Brady. Obviously, not the most athletically gifted quarterback, but he's in there watching film 24/7. He knows every move that everyone on the field is doing. So you see how that benefits a player. We need a player, and I don't think Glenn's even going to go after Ted anymore. So I think Golden is a guy who has obviously speedster, one of the fastest, if not the fastest player in the draft. So I think he's intriguing. I still don't know if he's going to go over Ted though.
Nate says if we get 2 tight ends in the first 3 rounds, I'm canceling tickets. I don't think they're going to go with 2 in the first 3 rounds, Jack, but I could certainly see them doubling up at the position.
I could see it, right? Like we've said, names like Elijah Arroyo in the 3rd round, Colson Loveland maybe in the 2nd, although I only see them getting Loveland if they don't get Warren. That's only it, though. I can see Arroyo getting him in the 3rd. Aaron Harold Fannin Jr., I think he's mid-round, mid-draft, round worthy. I could see them getting 2 tight ends in the first 3. But I would like to see them get maybe Hawes in the 6th, right? Especially if you got your blocker in there.
1,000% appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like button here on Next Gen Jets. Keep all your questions coming. Pin comment to call into the top of the chat. Super chats, gifted memberships also greatly appreciated here on the program. You guys want to fire up a quick little mock draft?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Let's do it. I'm gonna have to switch this setting out quickly here. So
We're gonna do the poll thing again. Like the poll in the chat again.
We can just take answers from the chat and then we can break it down on here. We don't have to do a poll per se. All right, boom. Should be good. Now I'm gonna share my screen. Boom. There we go. All right. We'll fire it up.
Perfect.
So we're not gonna trade up.
Let's see who
that falls.
So we have Abdul Carter going first.
Yeah. Hunter
Travis
too.
Hunter,
That makes
Mason-
sense. Actually, no. I think Cam's gonna go on. And yes,
Yeah,
Zach,
I've
we've gone over this on many FaceTime calls. Zach, don't worry. We've spent hours and hours on this topic.
Oh, Connor,
especially
behind the
last
scenes on FaceTime, a stream like that would go absolutely crazy with our takes.
night. I know, yeah. So Tet, Warren, Starks, Campbell, Membu, Green.
Perfect.
I know you got to look at trade downs.
Let's see.
Saints at 9. If you could pick up 71, that's a great
Yeah,
deal.
that's good.
The
That's
concerning
good.
part about that is the Saints are probably going up for Tyler Warren. We realize
I don't
that,
care.
right?
You can get your right
No, they're
tackle
going
and
up for
Armand.
their quarterback.
No, they're going up. No, they're going up for one. The quarterbacks are ranked really low here in this simulation, so the quarterbacks don't go for a little while. What are you guys' thoughts on this? 9 and 71 to slide back 2 spots. I think that would be a great deal, Chris.
I think that's a good deal, but I'd be weary passing on Tyler Warren, man. I think you might not want to pass up on a guy could come in and be a top 5 tight end in the league.
The tight end class is so deep, though. Let's see. We'll try.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
are these guys Tyler Warren though?
They're
no,
moving
but
back
also,
to
do you want to
picks
spend the
first.
tight end on the 7th overall pick? Like again, that's the next question you have to ask yourself too.
I mean, I don't like Mougey said. He's not looking into necessarily what position. He's just looking for good football players, and this guy's a great football player.
So if you're looking for a good football, well, I was going to say Ashton Genty would have been the pick, but he's not there. Looking for a good football player, I mean, Mike Green would probably be solid out. Like they're good football players in general. The Jets could take someone who would completely surprise us. So should we try it? Let me know in the chat. 9 and 71. I would do
My
that. You
opinion
trade
on
back
that,
2
right?
spots to. Ooh, what if we do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
19 and 53, that's not bad. I
And
like it, but-
84. And 84.
Yeah. But with the Saints, right? If you trade back, you're still at 9. Warren could still be there. You still got Tet, maybe that could still be there if the Saints don't take a weapon, right? Which I
What should we
think they
do,
will.
guys? Let us know in the chat. Should we trade back to 19, pick up 53 and 84? Should we take more? Oh, Jimmy says end 121.
So
we could try that.
If we
No, I
trade
don't
back to
mind
19,
We got it. We got
let's
it.
go.
All right.
Let's go. Let's see if Agbuka's there at 19.
Who did the
He
Bucks
is.
get? Who did the
Oh
Bucks
yeah.
pick?
Oh yeah. Agbuka's there. Click
The
that,
Bucks
baby.
traded
Yeah.
up for Warren.
Warren. All right. Yeah. I get it, Buka. I think you got to get it, Buka here.
Let me
Oh
check.
god, I already know all the Cam Ward truthers. I saw his name with the Miami logo next to it. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Do you want to go Golden or Abuka?
Oh no! If Golden's there,
Ibuka.
go Golden. Go Golden for sure.
Abuka's over. Like Walter Nolan's another one. Like if you like, look, come on, look at those.
Yeah.
Look at those.
I still think you got to go Golden here. Though you got to get your
Look
true.
at
receiver.
those.
I think Agbuka, honestly, bro. I
Yeah.
would.
Yeah. No, you got to go Golden here.
Let me know what you guys want to do in the chat. The Loveland. Loveland's my pick.
Okay,
Well,
not bad. I'm not bad.
Let me know
But
what you
also-
guys want to do.
You have a lot more tight end depth though in this draft than receiver. I feel like the best receivers are gonna go up. Yes, you have a guy like Trey Harris to get possibly in the second. But
Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat what we
Golden
want to do.
What does Golden have beside his speeds, Jack?
I like his hands a lot. I like his ability to track the ball.
Like,
Love
what
his
does
ability to
Abuka
track
have other than
downfield.
being a slot receiver?
Just take Agbuka, bro.
No, but what does he have other than being a slot receiver?
He's boys with Garrett.
He's supposed to get dude.
I don't even think he played.
got-
a lot.
Again, facts over faith. That's I live by.
To be clear, I would have just taken Warren. I wouldn't have even traded down.
Yeah, but all right. Well, we did.
All right,
trade
Jet
down,
Up
that's
says
the thing.
receiver. Let us know, guys. So you want to take? Okay, Jet Up says Halfmo says Higgins. All right, who do we take?
I'm still running with my gut. Go Golden here. Love his ability to go downfield.
I think they're
plays.
gonna. I don't want Abuka. I think they're gonna take. I think the chat is going to want to take him.
So if we take
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot
Agbuka or Golden is fine, and we can get Harold Fannin later, then falls in the 6th.
Okay, they're
I
saying
see Havmo
Abuka.
saying Higgins, but I think he's second round. Maybe the Jets can pick him up in the second round or the third.
Everyone's saying Abuka pretty much. Next person to throw it in the chat. Then we'll make our pick. I don't hate it. It's just not my favorite. Like I'm not
Yeah,
gonna go
I
crazy.
don't
if
hate
the
it at all.
Jets-
But I
If
like
they
Golden
trade
better.
back and take Abuka, I'm not gonna go crazy about it. But I'm not gonna love it.
It's better than having Reynolds though as your receiver too. At least there's an upside. to
But
look at
they're
that.
not gonna. They're no matter what they do. Even if they take a receiver in the 5th round, Reynolds will not be the wide receiver too.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I'm just
Jimmy
saying,
says Grant, and Jed Jaro says isn't Loveland hurt? He's fully healed from his shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Grant is Grant even there? Yeah. Wait, no, is he?
yeah. I thought I saw his name somewhere. Unless that's before we traded down.
He's gone. Wait, yeah, he went right before us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, we'll just take Abuka. I know he's the favorite here. We'll just take Abuka.
Chris, you got your wish.
That
He's boys with Garrett. Let's see.
right.
Second round. We got.
Is
so many
Rebels
picks.
is Xavier Watts still on the board?
This guy's
no way,
legit.
no way Shadur is still here, by the way. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know they have him low on the board. I'm just not gonna.
Is Watts still there? I'd like to see if we can get a chance on Xavier Watts or Ursery.
No, he's gone.
I think we
Watts
want wide receiver. Now we either go tackle or tight end here.
I like the thought of getting Ursery out of Minnesota. We need to fill that right tackle position.
we could do Ursery. He
I
had a
like
top
the thought
30
of
visit
Ursery.
with the Jets too.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys want in the chat. Who do you guys want?
I want Ursery or Watts. Either one. will
Oh,
be fine with.
Azariah Thomas. He's a
He's
really,
not bad.
good football player.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't
not
pick
bad.
Corner, though. I wouldn't pick corner.
Yeah.
Why?
Wait, why? Yeah, but what about Siobhan or whatever his name is? Revel out of East Carolina. Is he still there?
Yeah, Revel's there.
Why wouldn't I pick corner? Because we need weapons and linemen, and
We just got
Cornerback
on
is a
both
weapon.
sides.
Cornerback is a defensive weapon.
But we have Sauce.
That's one player. You need someone to
That's
play
true.
opposite him. Like
Yeah,
DJ, this
like,
one,
yeah,
I mean,
Watts
DJ
is-
Reed was what? Watts is off
Yeah.
the board.
Oh, he's
They,
off
they,
the
they didn't
board.
pay Stevens
Oh,
that
there
much
he
to
is. Yeah, I
sit
see.
back and do nothing.
Okay, I mean, Azariah Thomas doesn't even need to play boundary. You could kind of plug and play with him too.
Get Ursary though. That's just my opinion. I would like Ursary.
All right,
That's
should we
a
take
tackle.
Ursary? Jimmy says get the tackle. Jet up says take the tackle. All right, we'll
Yeah,
take
Ursary.
Ursary. We're back on 9 picks later. We're still there.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, they should trade. They should literally just trade Brees, pick up another 3rd-round pick, and take one of these running backs.
Yeah, if you trade Brees, maybe pick up like a guy like Cam Scatabo.
I'm good on that.
Really? You don't like
Uh,
Scatabo?
I like Brees.
What do you like about Scatabo?
I like his aggressiveness. Really, I do. If you get this guy, I think he's a powerhouse running back. Right? He may have gone to the biggest school in Arizona
5'11",
State.
215.
But what we
Oh,
saw,
Higgins,
he's a power back
Higgins
for sure.
and Thomas. Schwessinger is someone I do like.
Maybe
I
get
think
Higgins.
here you look at
Shamar
Ted
Turner. The Jets met with Shamar Turner at his pro day.
Yeah, especially if they're not getting a guy like Grant or Graham in the first, then
Jack
maybe go.
Sawyer. Look at this, Jack Sawyer. Yeah.
I think the pick here is
His boys with Garrett.
tight end or defensive lineman.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. You know, I'm still gonna go.
Connor is fan in here.
Yeah, he'll be available in the 3rd or 4th though. This second still.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Jimmy says is Collins there. I can check that for you. Yes, Alfred Collins is still there.
I don't mind Collins. I think he's great. Actually, I think he's pretty good.
Just get us some
Yeah.
D line, baby. Get us someone
Yeah.
next to Quinn.
Especially if you're not
All right,
getting Grant or Graham. I
Last
like
chance
the
to get
idea
your
of D-line.
thoughts in the chat here before we make our pick. Let us know who you want to take.
I'm happy with a D-line here. That's just my personal preference. If you're not gonna go with like I said, if you're not gonna go with Graham or Grant in the first,
Yeah. Let us know.
maybe even the idea of trading Brees for Scatabo. That's not.
I'm not doing that, bro.
I take Scatabo over Brees. I mean Brees over Scatabo, and I'm not even a big Brees fan.
Oh my god.
Jet Jaros is a Royo, so
Yeah.
everyone's on the table.
Possibly, yeah. I
All
like.
right,
Arroyo
Jimmy says
too.
Collins. It is. They need D line
Yeah,
help.
they do
Tight
need
end
a
class
tight
is
end
deep.
first.
Go Collins.
And by the way, the Brees disrespect is getting way out of hand.
I love Brees.
No,
I'm
it's
just
not.
saying, like, you know,
You just said you trade him for Cam Scatabo.
no. Listen. I love Brees, but like we said, he hasn't has the best vision. I think Cam has pretty good vision. He's a power
You
back.
shouldn't have to rely on Brees' vision. Just get him in space.
You
man.
have to rely on vision. That's the
Again,
thing.
Chris, we addressed this so many times. I'm not even gonna waste brain
Okay,
cells
we need
anymore.
order right now. Okay, we need
Oh
to
my
get
God.
we need to get our things together. I love Brees. That's the overall thing. I just his.
You love Brees, but you're gonna trade him for a bag of chips. Got it.
Mason Taylor,
What about you?
Jordan Birch.
We didn't select the tight end, right?
No.
Mason
Alright,
Taylor is
we-
great.
alright,
I like the
tight
idea.
end is
Or
good.
Chris
Chris
Paul.
Paul
I like the idea of
Jr.
getting Chris Paul Jr. as a linebacker to enter this.
Trey Harris
guess
is a
I'm-
wide receiver.
I like
me, I
Trey Harris.
won.
Kevin
Winston.
Winston.
Gotta
Yeah.
get tight end here.
Let's go Taylor.
All right,
Yeah.
Mason Taylor. Yeah, that's not bad.
And we're right back on. Winston is my pick here right away.
Oh yeah, we need safety. You put him in there in that room with Cisco, Tony Adams. That's a beautiful safety room. I like that.
Just wait to hear back from the chat a second here before we go crazy and make a move.
I hope Brees will fit into this regime, right? Especially if they're gonna go a run.
You just
first
said you wanted to
offense.
trade him for Cam Scatabo.
Bro,
I said it's a thought. I didn't say I wanted to. It's a
You said
thought.
you just said
It's a
I
thought.
would. You said I would, and I quote, I would trade Brees Hall
Okay,
for
all right. It's a thought.
Scatabo.
I didn't mean
You
that.
said I
meant it's a
would
thought.
though.
Okay, well I misspoke again.
Take that
it's a
back.
thought. It's a thought. It's a thought. I'm excited to see how if he fits with
Oh yeah.
I didn't diss Brees. It's just a
You just
thought.
said you trade him for Cam Scatabo.
you Jack. I can't do this, bro.
I'm excited to see how he fits with this.
Jack.
All right, who are we getting at 84?
Yo,
guys?
I don't know. We just gotta make sure. I just want to make sure so the chat doesn't go crazy if we take someone that they didn't like. Kevin Winston's my pick here. Just let me know in the chat.
Oh yeah, I like the idea of getting a safety. I haven't done my homework on Kevin Winston. I haven't done my homework on a lot of these. Oh nah,
Winston's a dog.
Brees Hall sucks. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and
Unbelievable comment.
he's got a lot of things to work on, but he doesn't suck.
Nowhere near suck.
I'd trade him for Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah, but I haven't done my homework on a lot of these later round guys. But the idea of adding a safety here, as we already addressed all of our positions.
Winston it is.
All right, that's a good
Beautiful.
pick.
Oh, I
Fourth
know,
round here.
I know.
Howard.
I know who my
Again,
friend
Howard's
Connor is gonna
here.
go with
Here we
this
go.
pick, baby.
You
Is
guys don't know.
Deontay Thorne still available?
Yeah, he's gonna be there in he's gonna go undrafted, right? He's gonna be like a fifth, not undrafted. He'll be like a 5th or 6th round guy though. In this simulation, he might go undrafted. Billy Bowman.
I like Deontay Thorne, right? Especially if we had.
Can we trade Jack for Scatterbo? I like Damian
Scott was a
Martinez.
dog, though.
They're not gonna take a running back.
Yeah, bro. We have a 3-headed monster. Why would we even waste a pick on that?
Jack, if you're typing in the chat, you could just say it on air. You don't need to type it in the chat.
Just responding to have Mo. All right, who
Alright.
we locking in right here?
I like Howard, but let me know in the
Yes,
chat.
same. Is McCord still on the board? I'm not thinking he is, but
No, he's gonna be there, of course.
Wh-
He's
wh-
there.
This actually got us a lot of picks.
I don't mind
Like,
Howard though because he's playing in a pro style offense.
I mean, this got us a lot of picks to trade back, so it gives us a lot, a chance to get a lot of productive starters. But the thing is, I'm uncomfortable letting Warren slide past us. But I still like this simulation we have going on here. But I would be all over Warren at 7, honestly.
All right, let me know here. Have most is Castro. We just selected a safety though. That's the thing. We just took Kevin Winston.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can get another receiver or tackle here, honestly. So who are the receivers available?
Horton, Bryant, Kyle Williams. I like in one of the later rounds.
Yeah, I like Thornton though. But
You
that's
can get 2 receivers. Thornton's,
Connor looking to his next gen analytics, and he decided that his player's production didn't match his targets.
Thornton is not good. Thornton's not like a really good receiver.
We got our guy in Egbuka.
All right, I'm taking
let's
Howard.
go Will
What do you guys
Howard.
want to?
I
don't mind Howard.
I don't have a problem going Howard. I just wouldn't. I'd invest in depth.
I did not trade my Brees Hall jersey. I still have a white jersey.
Taking black all day over white and green
Just
anyway.
order my white Justin Fields.
I need to get a
jersey.
black Fields jersey.
Dude,
I can't believe you guys are.
dude,
I gotta get a
cannot-
Sherwood jersey.
Dude, by the show next week, I'll have my Fields jersey locked in. So
What is that? Is that a Breeze jersey you have on right now, Chris?
Oh yeah, 100%, baby. You already know.
Yeah.
Best
Alright,
player
pick
from the
one side.
2022 class.
I need to get my Rogers
sure.
jersey.
We'll just take. No one's saying anything. We'll just
Connor's
take.
gonna kick me off the show if I wear a Rogers jersey on.
No, he's not even a New York Jet.
All right,
I know. I'm just saying that's the only legacy jersey I have though.
So
now.
we just took a quarterback.
honestly,
Maybe
you
go
Mo
after another,
Williams. You need a
piece.
cornerback. You need a cornerback.
Yeah, go after
Mo
another,
Williams.
go after another defensive piece here.
like that corner
I like
pick.
that pick.
Adding some depth to the corner room, losing.
How are we
you
thinking about
obviously
getting another linebacker though? Like a guy like Jack Kaiser or something.
We're back on at
He's still there.
145. He might be
lost-
there.
What's his measurables? Is he like a big guy?
6'2", 231.
Not really. He's not even
Yeah.
a scheme. Like we need guys who are like going to be bruisers next to what's their name? Jamie.
Jimmy,
Short.
I'm as zoomed in as I possibly can. Sorry.
I like the idea of getting Kaiser. I think we need another linebacker. Or Noel Williams, like we said. He's not bad, but I'd rather go Kaiser here. I'd rather go Kaiser in my opinion.
Here it is. I'll scroll through slowly.
Guys, put your opinion in the chat. Let us know.
You heard the man.
My opinion, though,
Um,
Kaiser is my guy.
No, I'm leaning towards the cornerback right now.
Didn't
if
we get one?
if you're not going to add another receiver or lineman, No, I'd take Quinn Ewers before I take what's his name.
We took a quarterback.
Yeah, I know. I'd say I'd rather have Ewers than Howard. What's up, Beast?
Yeah.
It's so crazy how Ewers was projected to be like second, like a higher draft stock before the season even started. Now
I love Ewers' arm strength.
Jimmy,
honestly.
we're talking about Noel Williams from Cal right here.
I love Ewers' arm strength. I think obviously the rest needs work, which is why he's more of a developmental guy. But that's exactly what the Jets are looking for. So if the Jets were to take a quarterback, I'd be looking for them to take Ewers or Milrow.
It's not bad. I like Ewers, except his
And
throw,
Ewers is
his balls when it's released, it's kind of quirky a little bit. I don't mind it though.
Yeah, I like Ewers' throwing motion compared to some of the other odd ones in this draft class. Specifically,
It needs
Jackson
work
Dart.
though.
Jackson Dart's throwing motion is messed up in my eyes.
Reminds me a lot of Wilson.
I think we should go the corner here. You know, it's a good pick. Round out this corner room, get some depth. Aaron Glenn can coach him up, develop him.
I don't mind that. Still, I like Kaiser though. I don't mind Williams though. I like that.
All right, let's just take Williams.
That
Yes, Havmo. I like Williams. He can be handsy at times. I'll literally pull up his scouting report for you.
Sauce can be handy at times too, though.
Yeah, he's a ball hawker. The Jets don't really have a ball hawker. Ball skills, high run defense grades. Yeah, he's a solid player. Pat Bryant, maybe.
It's not bad. Still, how many receivers have we selected though?
Not that familiar. We only selected like Buka, I think, right?
Oh no, Ibuka. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm willing
All
to
right,
add more
then yeah,
receivers.
maybe get another second receiver. I thought we drafted 2. I'm
Or we
open
could
to
take
getting Pat Bryant.
Darren.
Oh,
We haven't
could
taken
also
an edge
go-
yet,
we
so-
could also go
Jimmy,
get
this is the 5th round pick number 145.
we could also get a defensive end. I don't really think they're gonna go after Zadarius Smith as you wish. So I think getting end depth would be a good idea here.
Relentless motor. That's someone Aaron Glenn wants in his team.
Oh yeah, explosive first step,
Totally.
adequate length, and good
Especially
bend.
with Steve Wilkes' defense.
We have a guy who can jump over cars and Will McDonald. What can this guy do?
Havmo, it's pick 100. It's pick 145.
Connor claims that Will
Jimmy,
McDonald had an overrated season though.
he did. He couldn't stop the run, and he was a third down pass rusher on blitzes.
But I think having a guy
I
who
don't
can
get why
you
that's
10
so puzzling. Here are the
Yeah,
edge
I mean-
rushers, Jimmy.
I think a guy who can come in and get you 10 sacks a
Ooh,
year
Darren's still there.
is very valuable.
Not someone who can't say I'm not saying he's not a good player.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
an overrated season. Someone who could not stop the run and only played on third down. It was
Yeah,
only
you know,
effective, on third down.
With these defensive coaches, they will continue to develop him it was only his second
That was the
year, I
thing,
think.
though. Wasn't the past defensive coaching staff supposed to be all that too? I will say though, this coaching staff has so much experience. Like even their defensive line coach
Yeah, I was about
Eric
to say, like,
Washington
Love
was
that.
not even Wilkes.
Love that.
Eric Washington. All right, we'll take Tyler Barron. What was I gonna say? Even the defensive line coach Eric Washington was a defensive coordinator with the Bears last season. Then you have Wilkes.
Right.
You have the linebackers coach Aaron Curry, who's a product of Mike Tomlin. All these.
And then Glenn, who's an experienced defensive coordinator as a head coach. I know Connor, you've stated your opinion that you would rather have an offensive minded head coach. Like Ben Johnson, for example. I think
No,
Johnson,
No. I never said I wanted Ben Johnson.
No. That's just opinion for me though. Like I thought Ben Johnson was number 2 on my list.
I'm so content with what the Jets did at head coach, considering what they could have done. We could have messed it up by getting McCown as head coach. I think what concerns me with him is his experience as only a quarterback coach. Doesn't even have experience calling plays, and there's no evidence that he's going to be a disciplined guy. We need a guy who can maximize the talent on this team now. And so we have a guy in Aaron Glenn who's a defense. He is a defensive minded head coach, but he's going to come in and instill this culture and still holding guys accountable, and
you guys
at
been mad if the Jets got
the same
Rick
time being an elite defensive scheme maker. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do with this team if he's able to hire good offensive staff.
All right, here are the players available. I like Kobe. Oh, Hawes.
Kobe King, yeah. Oh yeah, forgot. I
Gotta
get
make sure
Hawes.
Hawes doesn't slip
Got to
away.
get your blocking tight end here.
Did we take a tight end? We took Taylor.
Yeah, I mean
6'5", 255.
It's nice.
But I don't even think you really like his. No, his blocking grade isn't great. Yeah.
yeah, get Hawes, in my opinion.
Getting Hawes.
Yeah,
here is
let's go.
Good pick. And then you can pick like some O-line depth or wide receiver depth next. And
How would you guys have
or-
felt if the Jets got
okay.
Rex Ryan back at head coach, if that ever happened?
Yeah, Connor would have hated that. I mean, I would
I
I
would've
would rather
laughed.
have Rex. I would rather have Rex than McCown.
That's hilarious. I'm not even going to waste energy arguing over that.
All right, on my opinion, we get Hawes here. I think his blocking ability is great. Get him while you can.
All right, we'll take Cause. All right, next up. Interior help, maybe? Did we get a run stuffer?
I don't think so, did we?
I think we took a D lineman at some point.
Yeah, I feel like we took an inner D lineman in like the 4th round, I believe, or something.
Yeah, we took
around-
Collins.
Yeah.
All right,
We,
let me
we,
check.
we can take a safety or D lineman at this point.
Didn't we just take Kevin Winston?
Yeah. Should we take another receiver? Oh, no, did we take 2 receivers yet?
Yeah.
Thornton's there if you want him.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think we
yeah,
can.
I have my
think
eyes
it's
on
safe
Thornton.
honestly.
Let's just
Not
the
bad,
last pick
not
I'm
bad.
using on a kicker no matter what. I just want to.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so let me know what you guys think. Are you guys okay with Thornton?
I'm perfectly okay with Thornton.
Yeah, I just want to make sure of the chat too. All right, let's go with Thornton.
Beautiful.
And then last pick, it's going to be Andres Borregales, the kicker out of Miami.
Sounds good.
Right.
That was a good draft.
Like
Yeah,
I said,
solid
get
job.
Zerline out of here. I don't want to see him in New Jersey ever again.
We get it,
Maybe
bro.
with I want to see him at MetLife Stadium, just playing for the Giants.
Missing kicks for them.
There we go.
All
Let's
right,
see.
let's see our grade. Hopefully, it's got to be at least a B, right?
Who
At
knows?
least my opinion, hopefully.
Buka A, Ursary, that was your pick, Jack. C minus.
We need a tackle.
Collins C, Taylor B minus, Winston B minus, Howard B plus, that was mine. Noel Williams C plus, Barron C, Hawes C plus, Thornton C, Borregales D, B plus.
B plus, yeah. See,
Yeah,
solid.
that's a good draft. That's like
The problem
if I
is
had
they
my-
gave Collins a C because Sanders was there. Meanwhile, all of us know Shador isn't even gonna be there.
the thing is, I that's how if I made my own, I wouldn't. Mine wouldn't be shaped like that. I'd stick and pick Tyler at 7. I think that's you. I have to do that at this point. That's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. I want to get like the best value at position who can become one of the best tight ends in the league. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that transpires. I'm 99% sure they'll take Warren. I'm hopeful on that. If they don't, they probably go member. I don't know if I can see them trading back. I think they really want to get a premium starter in the first round. whether
Surprised
it
we
be-
didn't go Harris here, Trey Harris in the 2nd round.
Not a big
Well, we
fan
took
of this.
Buka in the first in this scenario.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Oh, yeah,
for
that's
sure.
right, that's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, smash the like, hit subscribe. We appreciate you all tuning in here on another edition of Next Gen Jets. We appreciate all your support here on the program. As always, another episode in the books. Jack, how you
Let's
feeling?
go. Good. This is a great episode. Probably my favorite one by far. Love talking with you guys. Love building up the chemistry more. I just love doing this with you guys. Connor, thank you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity again. And Chris.
Likewise, brother.
you, bro.
Likewise. Chris, how you doing?
for sure, man. Verbatim what Jack's thinking. I mean, I'm chilling, having a great time with you guys here every Sunday night. So I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad we're gonna continue to do this and expand our platform. And it's so much fun, man.
Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. That'll do it for us. Jack Cotter, Chris Grasso, Connor Long signing off. JETS, Jets.
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 Peace.